Black Ops Zombies has always typically been known as the benchmark for being the best version of zombies there is. Every iteration of the mode and every sequel to Black Ops in the broader Call of Duty franchise, from Black Ops 1 through Black Ops 7, delivers gems in one way or another. Maps like downright, Origins, Mob of the Dead, Kino der Toten, and even some of the newer maps like Ashes, Totenreich, and Kawakujo. And yes, I finally learned how to pronounce the name of that map. We've always been a bit spoiled with high quality from Treyarch. We've gotten true heart and soul in the storylines. We've gotten dedication from our main cast of characters. We've seen high quality map after map, interesting wonder weapons, cool and fun gameplay mechanics, and so much more. A standard set so high that the expectation is that you can almost guarantee that a Treyarch Zombies mode in a new Call of Duty release is gonna be good. That being said, even the greatest dev team, in most folks' opinion, can also put out an absolute stinker from time to time. Treyarch is not immune to making bad maps and bad entries in the series. We just don't expect it that much from them. But there is something I want to acknowledge. This is almost a common thing with Treyarch. At least once per Black Ops game, they have a bad map. Typically, it'll be a post-launch DLC map that's less popular than the other ones and is overshadowed by both a preceding fantastic map and a follow-up fantastic map, sandwiching weaker content between stronger content, essentially feeling like a filler, something made by the devs in a quick lull period between focusing on bigger and more ambitious projects. This being readily apparent in maps like Verrückt in World at War, often seen as one of the weaker and lesser popular entries in that game, or something like Shangri-La in Black Ops 1, seen as a tight and difficult map requiring a lot of setup. downright in Black Ops 2, which was overly unpopular for its reliance on verticality. Zetsubo no Shima in Black Ops 3 for just being a less popular map for a historically less popular character. Alpha Omega in Black Ops 4 for being a weak and cheap remake of Nuketown Zombies from Black Ops 2. You get the idea. More often than not, these are the smaller, lesser story-filled, less interesting maps out of the DLC releases. And of course, everyone's going to hold a different opinion of which of these is their least favorite, which one the community sees as the worst. And for the purpose of this video, I'll be focusing on my own personal opinion, while also taking into account general consensus on what the community at large agrees is their least favorite of the bunch. So let's knock out first the maps that don't fit the criteria, the most popular ones, the maps often seen as the best. Like I've previously talked about in other videos and that I hinted at just a few moments ago, the maps often cited as the best are Mob of the Dead, Origins, downright, Kino der Toten, and more. A step below those, often seen as high-tier popular maps but with a few flaws, we jump down to maps like Garad Krovi, Shadows of Evil, 9, Ancient Evil, Ascension, 5, etc. And then we get down to the serviceable maps, often some people's favorites, some people's mid-tier, and a vocal but smaller bunch who say they're just terrible. These maps are usually Call of the Dead, Buried, Transits-related survival maps like Town and Farm, Revelations in Black Ops 3, Tag der Toten in Black Ops 4, and a good majority of the maps featured across Cold War and Black Ops 6. Now there's one tier below this which I call the contenders, the maps that could easily be considered the worst. But there is a mid-tier that I want to acknowledge really quick, one that falls between the contenders and the previous tier that I just mentioned, the serviceable maps. In my opinion, this is made up of the forgettable maps. Black Ops Zombies maps that I don't think anybody is ever going to call their favorite. A lot of people might say are absolutely terrible, but most people don't even remember they happened in the first place. The biggest example of this, the Tomb from Black Ops 6, a map that I think gets a ton of hate, probably a lot more than it deserves, but at the same time, it's also not a very good map. It's not memorable, it's not replayable, it's not super enjoyable, but it's also not terrible. It just kind of happened, and I'm mostly indifferent about it. This also covers most of Cold War for me. Firebase Z, Mauer der Toten, Forsaken, but at the same time, that's also a mix of a Raven Software and Treyarch game combined in one that holds the Black Ops branding but isn't really a mainline Black Ops entry. It's not a numerical Black Ops entry. It's kind of Black Ops 5, but it's not Black Ops 4, it's not Black Ops 6, it's Black Ops Cold War. I think a lot of the maps in that game essentially serve as throwaways, filler maps, Treyarch light versions of maps. Hence why I've said a ton of times before it's my least favorite Black Ops game there is. It's just not super memorable and it wasn't for me. That's why most of its maps fall in the forgettable category, but they're not the worst. The worst maps are the contenders, the maps that could easily be considered the worst. And in my opinion, there are 4 strong contenders: Transit, downright, Alpha Omega, and the most recent and current games addition to this list, Paradox Junction. A smattering of entries from a few different games, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 4, and Black Ops 7. And I want to look at each of these maps and why they're often cited as the worst of the worst so that we can make an informed decision on which one truly deserves the crown at the bottom of the bunch as the worst Black Ops Zombies map. So we begin with Transit. Transit has a terrible reputation. For the longest time, Transit was seen as a joke by the community. A map so bad that it had its own affectionate nickname that would get me content flagged on YouTube if I said it aloud. A map so bad that it was often seen as the inverse benchmark for any new map that came after it. Because hey, at least it's not Transit. So big of a joke, in fact, that it was a meme across the community to ask for a Transit remaster faster with every new COD release, jokingly. Give Treyarch another shot at that pile of steaming hot garbage and see if they can make it better this time. Why did the community hate Transit so much? Because it was too ambitious for its own good. It overpromised and it underdelivered. Now, I've talked about Transit at length in another video about Black Ops 2, but just to give you a little bit of a quick rundown on the map, Transit introduced annoying enemies, fog, lava, weird new mechanics to turn on power, ways to access perks and pack-a-punch, a slow-moving bus, super sprinter zombies and denizens, and my biggest complaint was that it was too big and sprawling but equally felt devoid of any real content and was so isolating and tiny in the actual playable areas that it felt cramped and badly designed. It just didn't have a lot of positives going for it, and it also performed very poorly on the consoles it was released on. The PS3 and the Xbox 360 were not powerful enough to push a broad and sweeping open-world style map like Transit, with tons of effects and particles and multiple areas and constantly loaded regions, etc., etc. It was a mess, but I think it's been redeemed over time with a bit of a nostalgia factor and being attributed to in Black Ops 7's launch map, Ashes. This being the strongest thing Transit has going for it in not being considered the absolute worst, because Treyarch eventually did go back to it and made true on their original ambitions for the map, but with improved hardware and improved mechanics. They redeemed Transit, a rare instance of a sequel being better than the original, kind of like Back to the Future 3. So Transit isn't the absolute worst of the worst, but that leads us into the second entry of contenders in Black Ops 2, that map being Die-Rise. Die-Rise has received a ton of hate from the community, but in my opinion is a fantastic map. The reason most folks don't like it is because of its verticality. It's the only zombies map that essentially subverts the normal playstyle of running zombies in circles or trains in wide open areas, and weaving through zones while zombies pile up, and instead swaps this out for tight corridors, jumping through buildings, going up and down elevators and stairs, getting trapped in corners, and an overall feeling of claustrophobia. It's too tight and difficult for the average player, only really being redeemed by its overpowered wonder weapon, which did allow for the more casual player to still make moderate progress on the map. Now, I personally think it had a super fascinating design. It takes place in a very cool setting, and the uniqueness of it, well, to a lot of people being its drawback, in my opinion, is its redeeming factor. There's nothing else like that. Maybe that's because Treyarch learned their lesson after one skyscraper map, or maybe it's because it deserves to be the one unique entry like it. So again, totally my opinion, but I think Transit and Die-Rise survive. They're not the worst. They're not amazing, and a lot of people don't like them, but they're not the worst. They do have their fans. They'll stay in the bottom 4, but we can scratch them out of the contenders list. So that brings us next to Alpha Omega in Black Ops 4, one of 3 takes on Nuketown Zombies, and about the 40th version of Nuketown in a Call of Duty game. A map so overdone, so overplayed, and a lot of people's opinions so overhyped that the community by Black Ops 4 was already sick of it. Again, another map, kind of like Transit, that was memed into oblivion by the Call of Duty community. Wow, another Treyarch entry? Bet they're doing Nuketown again. Alpha Omega essentially serves as a filler map, a point that I made earlier. A map that does in itself have its own storyline implications, it does feature new areas, it does have improvements and additions to the original Nuketown Zombies map that was featured in Black Ops 2, it does have new weapons, elemental wonder weapons, a new take on the Ray Gun Mark II, and the first instance of us being able to play as 8 different characters on one map, both versions of our main 4 crew, both their Ultimus and Primus selves. But it's bogged down by the poor gameplay mechanics of Black Ops 4, and unfortunately, just the fact that it exists in Black Ops 4 is enough for most people to shy away from it. And if you ask my opinion, it was a tired rehash of a map already done before as a bonus side map, and it doesn't do enough to truly improve on the original that it's remaking. However, it does have a few shining points, and it does make an earnest attempt to be different, and it actually does add to the map in some way, shape, or form. It does add new things, it does try new things, and it does actually contribute to the story of Black Ops 4 and the grand finale of the original Ether storyline. So again, this map survives the culling. It's not the worst. So that leaves us with our final contender as the worst Black Ops Zombies map of all time so far, in my opinion. Black Ops 7's Paradox Junction. Now, Paradox Junction is, coincidentally, yet another remake of Nuketown Zombies, but this time around it removes all of the additions made by Alpha Omega and reverts back to a simpler, near one-to-one remake of the original Black Ops multiplayer version of Nuketown, not even implementing most of the Black Ops 2 Zombies changes made to the map that made it actually feel like a Zombies map. The most that Paradox Junction does is unlock a tiny little bit more of the outer boundaries of the map, giving you one extra street to run down, which includes the Pack-a-Punch machine and a couple of driveways almost exclusively existing to serve as interact points for the Easter egg main quest. The map feels more like a multiplayer port of a map into Zombies that only adds a red skybox as to indicate that you're playing Zombies. It throws a buildable bench off on the side, adds the normal Zombies wall buys, some perk machines, and that's it. Now, of course, you can't ignore that it does feature a time warping mechanism. This allows you to remove the red skybox and jump from the nuked version of the map into the clean version of the map. Groundbreaking stuff. Except you can't stay in either version permanently. You're forced to swap between versions every few rounds, and you can't make the decision yourself to actually stay in one of them for the long term. You are allowed to manually swap between skyboxes and aesthetics, but ultimately neither version is really unique outside of visual changes. Neither one features different accessible areas, neither one expands on the map in any notable way, and neither one can be your main preference, because your preference doesn't matter. You're going to play both, and you're going to get swapped between them at the game's discretion. Paradox Junction also has the drawback of being a huge letdown to the community. It's a triple remake, but also a demake. We've had Nuketown Zombies 3 times now, in Black Ops 2, in Black Ops 4, and now in Black Ops 7. We've only ever seen triple remakes done where a map's been remade multiple times, with the original World at War maps featured in their original game, then in Black Ops 1, and then in Black Ops 3. But at least in those instances, it made sense. These were bonus additional maps brought in as remasters. They weren't mainline DLC entries meant to be standalone, unique, brand new additions to the game to serve as core experiences. But Paradox Junction is a core map in Black Ops 7. It's a full DLC map. It has an Easter egg main quest. It has Easter egg rewards. It has calling cards and challenges. It even has a brand new wonder weapon, but one that has absolutely nothing to do with the map and doesn't make a whole lot of sense why it even appeared in this game at all, the Blundergat, a gun exclusively featured in Mob of the Dead and Blood of the Dead, except this time we get a weird elemental version of it in Paradox Junction that's neither interesting, powerful, or fun to use. Nor does it have a very straightforward unlock quest or upgrade quest. And on top of this, Paradox Junction was rumored to be a remake of Alpha Omega, including all of the new areas from the map, the underground bunkers, the expansion zones, new buildings, new houses, new back areas, but it features none of these. It's even less of an expansion than Black Ops 2's Nuketown Zombies was. It's just the core multiplayer map with a zombies filter on it, and with a barricade removed so you can access a street previously blocked off as a part of the exterior decoration. This all being said, I personally believe this is the worst Black Ops Zombies map. It's hard to find a single positive about this map other than that it serves as a decent, mindless survival map for casual players in Black Ops 7 that have no interest in the more expansive, story-driven, unique maps that the game has to offer. And even then, if you want to play it as a survival map, you can just play Nuked Survival, the survival version of Paradox Junction, which is the exact same map with no changes made other than that they've turned off the main Easter egg. And ultimately, in my opinion, that's the only version of this map that should have ever been released. It should just be a survival map. It shouldn't be a mainline entry in the game. In that way, it would have been the perfect map for an MP fan who gets invited to play zombies with some friends but has no interest in the broader mode. It's safe, it's familiar, but to a zombies fan who expected a full mainline DLC entry and a brand new map, Paradox Junction is just some bare bones reused assets with an uninteresting main Easter egg quest that brings nothing new to the table. And while this map is still relatively new and it's still fresh, maybe we'll change our opinions on it in a few years' time when the nostalgia factor settles in on Black Ops 7 and we're all playing Black Ops 10 or Modern Warfare 7 or whatever game is out by that point. For now, it stands for me and for most of the community as the worst entry in Black Ops 7 and, in my opinion, the worst zombies map in Black Ops Zombies to date. So what are your thoughts? Do you agree that Paradox Junction stands as the weakest zombies map Treyarch has delivered in one of their main games? Or do you think a different map deserves that unfortunate crown? What map do you think is the worst showing to date? Let me know in the comments below. And feel free to tell me I'm terribly wrong and you completely disagree. Or if you like this video, feel free to let me know with a like and a comment. And let me know if you like this style of commentary and want to see me do more of these. That's all I've got for now, and I'll see you in the next one.